Quack, quack, quack. It's your boy Adam Chimeo of the Quacktion podcast. Solo today, just giving you my thoughts on what was a truly crazy week 2 game, which you knew was going to be crazy because it's against Boise State. Every damn game we've played against them, they've all been ugly. And up until yesterday, they were all Boise State wins. But no, the Oregon Ducks have done it this time. Absolutely bonkers. Really, now I'm sure there's a whole bunch of feelings about this game. I would imagine more reactionary fans that are still not recovering from week 1 Idaho. Like that crazy game. Now we're here. A lot of the same problems, though there was improvement. I think you would be blind not to see some improvement even throughout the game, and I'll point out some of that. Just some of my immediate thoughts. Not immediate. I always like to give myself a little time to cool down. You know, I forget who it was. Maybe it was Schwartz, who you gotta follow. I mean, legendary Oregon O lineman. Really good follow on Twitter. Said like the film is never as bad as it looks, or it just goes to show you it's never as bad as it was your first viewing, and it's never as good as that first viewing when your heart's still in it, especially in this game when it was so up and down of, oh, looks like we've got a hold of things, oh no, oh, this could be a big loss to Boise State, oh, we got it again, oh nope, 2 freaking fumbles, and we almost did the Kalen Clay, I believe is his name, all those years ago. You would assume out of all the mess ups you could have as a Duck fan, dropping the ball before you cross the end zone, that's when you gotta know. Oh my goodness, he's not the first Duck to do it, but I'm glad it didn't cost anything for us. Whew, so dramatic. I mean, I know there's too much to go beat by beat. I think I'm going to react to some of the reactions I've seen on like Duck Twitter and such, which I know is a hive of scum and villainy, but there's still some good people on that terrible app. And just throughout, you know, there's been a lot of people. I think this is just coming because you remember the best of Bo Nix. You're also thinking about Marcus Mariota when he's got a big 8, and so many other great transfer quarterbacks. There's some people kind of trashing my man's name, and yeah, he wasn't perfect at all. And some, I think in this game especially, it felt like some of the offensive line's problems were also because he wasn't, really reading the defense, maybe adjusting. There was one very clear adjustment, which then went for a big play. I think that was him calming down, also trusting the O-line. But some people are really trashing my man Dillon Gabriel, which for them, I would say you need to touch grass. You need to breathe for a minute. Because first of all, we won this game. Like, I don't care what you think. Oh, Boise State, they're not Power 5. They played against just Georgia Southern, and Georgia Southern almost won that game. Like, Boise State is a monkey we have never been able to get off our back until now. Even some really good teams, and some not so good teams. But, I mean, 3 times in a row we've lost to this team. I'm just glad we beat them, that we survived, and that we did not lose to them in last-minute embarrassing fashion in Autzen. And one of the main reasons we didn't lose to them is Dillon Gabriel went 18 of 21, y'all. I think he entered the fourth quarter. Yeah, he entered the fourth quarter with 1 incompletion. And he was not just dinking and dunking. Obviously, he missed those 2 deep passes late. And again, I think if he can trust that O-line more, because I believe the first missed throw, at least it hit the receiver's hands. But it could have been better, and he had more time. The pocket looked pretty clean, if my memory serves me right. The second one, there's a little more pressure. But if he could just get a second more and to be able to, have the presence back there, because I think that's what was really affecting him, is not having the awareness, which will come the more you play. And I know he's played a ton. Like he's probably going to break the record for all-time starts. But the more he plays with this offensive line, with this offense in Oregon, with Oregon, I think his pocket presence, it needs to, if we want the crazy goals we've set for this season. But I think that's very possible too. And I think it's likely even, it's a timid thing to say, it's likely that this game will look back at the end of the season and be like, that was the wake-up call. I don't, who knows if we're really a threat for against even to win the Big Ten even right now. I'm still willing to believe we absolutely have the horses to compete in that race. We just need to all get them on the same page. But Dillon Gabriel, numbers don't tell the whole thing, but they can tell you a lot. 18 of 21 for 243 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also ran it in. His running was interesting because I remember 1 first down, but then like the next play, I do believe, or somewhere around there, was the fumbled pass to Herbert, which is not his fault. He got it to him quick enough. It was a good defensive play. It's not necessarily his fault. Certainly, he didn't fumble it there. But then later, he got the first down because of a huge miscommunication in which our own crowd noise was probably hurting us. Obviously, with the injury to Matthew Bedford and Dave Iuli, that's hurting our depth with that, and it's hurting our ideal rotation, which obviously we want Lalaulu to be our center. That's where he was, really being like molded for that role, take over for Jackson Powers Johnson. However, he had to move to right guard because, Dan Lanning has, for whatever reason, we don't fully know. It's probably just because it's like, if this experiment were to work out with Pickard, maybe getting some reps of like, yes, I can be our full on center should that need to happen. And then you get Lalaulu with being some rotating, like guards. Like that is a positive usually to have an offensive line that is fluid, able to cover for itself. We saw the benefits of that under Mario and under Dan Lanning. This is his first kind of real rotation where a lot of, it's more of his own guys, which a lot of those guys also include transfers. We all know what Hythloday says about transfers. It's usually going to take you like more than a year to really gel with your team. Of course, like a Johnny Cornelius did. There was a miscommunication there, which maybe this is also at least part in Dillon Gabriel. Maybe he didn't recognize something, especially I believe it was a defensive back that got him or something like that. I can't quite remember, but damn, he really let him just straight to Dillon Gabriel. One of the many sacks in this game, one of the many sacks in the last 2 weeks. This is why people are getting very scared, because this is probably the main reason why we had so much offensive success, which is one of the main reason why we had so much success last year, is because we were keeping the pocket clean and we had a veteran back there. The veteran looks, still like he's very much learning this system. And, last year, Bo Nix, that was 2 years in the system, obviously, but needs to be said, it seems like. Dillon Gabriel did show that he's willing to throw downfield, which is huge. It paid off multiple times. The short incompletions, he's making those pretty crisply, and it's just should all be about gelling. Now, I really, really do believe it'll all be about, can the offensive line get a, 5 that are, this is some, as Dan Lanning said, he's looking for 5 that can get him some winning football right now. And I think we're getting some answers, especially with their rotation of adding Nishad Strother, the senior from ECU. He got some playing time and things looked pretty quickly, immediately better. Honestly, I couldn't say. There was probably small sample size. I believe that he played both guard positions. I'll ask. I've already watched it twice, but sometimes it's hard for me to really see that. I get O-line blindness sometimes. I'm a basic ass fan. But I believe he played in the second half primarily, maybe only in the second half. Maybe they were just like, okay, Pickard, great for trying it. You truly have the heart of a champion as a walk-on, but yeah, walk off the field right now. And it seemed like getting Lalaulu back to the center position really helped, even though obviously getting maybe some more reps, let's say against Idaho, could have helped because he had that one terrible miscommunication, which completely switched the momentum over to Boise State, in which, Dylan Gabriel is even, you can see emotionally, like, don't snap me that damn ball. They snap the ball, hits him. Luckily, he's able to recover it, runs forward, gets a first down. Could have been like a big, wow, Dylan Gabriel, what a veteran. But then he fumbles the ding ball. Which sucked. I'm sure you all thought that too. But this whole season, our sky high, like anything is on the table, especially with this defense, which is not getting enough credit for playing some really good ball. Yes, I'm kind of going with, like, they made some big mistakes too, but overall on a play-by-play basis, they have really showed up, and we would have lost these games without a couple key, like without some regular defensive talent making big plays. And they're this close to truly dominating too. I mean, against Idaho, I think the sudden change is really hurting the defense right now, especially like obviously that trick play against Idaho, which maybe shouldn't have even counted because it seemed like it was a forward press too. But that trick play that Idaho pulled, which, week one, I'm kind of willing to forgive like a trick play scoring a touchdown. Game shouldn't have been that close for it to be that crucial. I think the worst thing that they was allowing that second touchdown was obviously that's a big blemish. But again, it shouldn't matter. 14 points scored by Idaho. It shouldn't be that big of a deal against Oregon if we were scoring the points that we should be. If we were finishing drives or even just really going for a drive longer than like 5 plays. Against this team, Boise State, which is not a state, it felt more like the offensive line was getting it together. I mean, that first drive looked like, oh crap, this is exactly the same situation, but it's kind of nice to know, okay, once Strother got in there, once Laulu was really snapping the ball, the talent level was getting higher. I want to say Harper switched to both guard roles at certain points. I'm not sure what their ideal form is. I bet you even with Bedford, I mean, he's dressing, and there's probably huge motivation to play against Oregon State with this group of O-linemen. It'd be nice to see I don't know why in the world Strother wouldn't get the start, to tell you the truth, and just find a way to get him in there. And no offense to Pickard, like I love Pickard, but it seems pretty clear in these first 2 weeks that maybe we need to attempt a rotation with him not in it for a bit. Or maybe, I don't know. I think a lot of Duck fans support me in that one, right? Anyone who's been watching these 2 games seems like it could be a huge boon. But to get something going with these 6 guys right now, probably, I mean, it'd be nice if Dave Bailey, but I don't know. These 6 guys, if they can really be a winning 5 for at least against Oregon State, which is struggling to produce their own points, then I think that would be huge, because then Bedford gets 1, and then the bye week 2, and then, that full. So it's like basically 3 weeks extra since this Boise State game of healing. And hopefully, Dan Lane doesn't love talking about injuries, but that could get him added in, and it could make us, okay, we got 5, 6 people that let's see what happens, gets us some depth there. That'd be nice. I'm sure a lot of Duck fans would like to see that. In the second half, the running really felt like, oh, okay, holy crap, maybe we can cover the 19 or whatever point spread that we were favored by. But then it was fumble. I'd have to look at the drive by drive, but we all remember that second half. It was the fumbles that, I mean, and of course that'll that'll screw you over, especially where it was happening. I'm sure Trayshawn Holden wishes he hadn't have gotten that, pushed that guy after he got hit a little out of bounds, because I liked what the commentator said about it's always the second guy that gets caught. Like that's a discipline thing. Overall though, I actually am feeling more inspired. Obviously, a loss to Oregon State will get me bummed, as any Duck fan should be. There's kind of no freaking reason we should be losing to Oregon State. If yeah, there really shouldn't be. Not this year. In general, sure, but I don't think there is. After how much talent, returning talent even we have, how much loss of talent and just new program, and there's really no reason, even though it's in Corvallis. Now, and it's interesting too, I think, because in this game, you had, when the boos were coming, we all know when the boos were coming, was when we just decided to run it 3 times, because it was like, okay, this game ain't working for us right now. As you all know, we're not really getting anything going. Yeah, here it is. So it's in the third quarter. It's a tied game. And like I honestly like this decision somewhat. 1st and 10 at the Oregon 14, and then a loss or a run for 1 yard, and then a run for 3 yards. Wait, we don't need to go through all this, but basically, we were behind the chains. We run it 3 times. That's when the booze came out. Otson's getting pretty drunk and feisty these last couple of weeks. The booze come out, but what I did like, unlike against Idaho per se, Idaho was, when we went for it on 4th and 1, even though the O-line was not having anything, sure, we tripped, but just everything was off and was kind of telling you don't go for it on 4th 1. But it's clear Dan Lanning's like, well, this is my mentality. I think maybe this will be a kick in the butt to O-line to win a 4th and 1 that they should win. Let's go for it. It doesn't happen. They score. It turns it into a whole damn game. In this game, you could see him be like, okay, it's 1st and 17, but it's tied right now. This game's been crazy. It's third quarter. We're chucking it down the field. We've had some success, with Holden and yeah. But it's clear he knew the defense was playing well, that they had won some, that we were in a bad spot, that disaster could strike, and so we punt to them, and then we stopped, and then we get the punt return for a touchdown. So that felt really nice, honestly. The second one was also pretty nice until he dropped the damn ball. Oh my gosh, I'm just glad. There's so many times, if it's a game like this, I feel like maybe this is just fan bias, but I feel like we're usually on the crap end of the stick in crazy games like this that are just back and forth. So it just felt good to finally beat this team, if I'm being real. If I'm being real, it just felt good. What did not feel good at all were all the sacks. That was insane, and the pressure they were creating in the backfield. Whew, they were really eating our lunch. That is right. Oh, that's us now. Let's read the bad news. 7 sacks. Oh, sorry. 7 tackles for loss. It wasn't that bad. That'd be crazy. 7 tackles for loss, 4 sacks. 4 sacks is still brutal, especially back to back in one drive. And and obviously against Idaho, there was a sack that forced us that made us cough up the ball. There's just so many drives that are, it's not stalling out 3 and out. Typically, it's like penalties putting us back. It's turnovers. Those are things that either luck can just slowly get back on your side, or you can just work on those and get better, or it just naturally is like we're playing more games for more. Those are things that can change. This whole thing with week 2, just like week 1, is like, can we gel? Can we do well enough to beat Oregon State? And then can we use that bye and such to gel to become a full ass team Well, what I should say is a team with an offensive line, a competent offensive line. Because seriously, just the competent offensive line paired with this defense, all our playmakers, and yes, Dylan Gabriel, who played actually pretty freaking well in this game. Yeah, I said it. I said, like, Heisman level? Hell no, but he's still playing very well and seemed to be more calm and collected. Got another finger injury somehow. 2 finger injuries in 2 days, or it seemed like it got cut on that hit where he coughed up the ball. Oh, man. This truly, truly crazy. I hate Boise State with all my heart. I only hate them because we've lost 3 times. I don't want to, like, make it political or anything, or like they're just the little, like, rural chip on their shoulder. I don't want to make it that. It's truly, I just hate that they've beat us 3 times and it's all been so damn close and such a heartbreaker. Whew. I mean, Jaunty is an NFL back too. Like, I'm not sure when the next, I assume Ohio State's got some elite talent, and I've talked about it a million times, but the second I talk about a roster, once I stop watching them, I completely forget about them. But so you assume we're going to go against some NFL level running back, but he is really improving their line, which had so many injuries on Boise State's side too. Like, it does speak to, like, how close this game is. Maybe we shouldn't have won because they had a lot of they came into this with their own injury at center already. I believe they got a guard that was injured. I forget his name. A really good defensive player as well. They also had a linebacker. I was ejected. I still have so much confidence in this team. It's kind of great that they rallied back. There's so many dumb little things that are very easily fixable that if we do, I mean, just like seasons, we've done this before. We've had slow starts and then just ripped off at a fantastic season. Everything's still there. To tell you all the truth, I don't even know what to say anymore. The game was so crazy. So much happened. Obviously, I mean, 4 out of 12 on third down from us. That is really rough. That is not the Bo Nix. That's not what Will Stein seemingly wants to do, the regular going down the field. We didn't go for it on fourth at all. So clearly that needs to change. We had a lot of, without those explosive plays, which you got to include the return game, obviously, too. Without those explosive plays, we would have been dead in the water here. But that is what happens when you have truly top tier talent in college football, is luck can slowly start to stack on your side. Not even just because, like, having someone who's more likely to be able to achieve a huge game-breaking play just because of their physical ability increases your chance of just luck in general. Having Tez Johnson on your team increases your chance of being lucky at times. Whew. Oh my gosh. We saw, 353 yards, not great, but we had big old plays when we needed them. Jaunty with that huge run. I really wish, like, that was another moment where it's just, I think we played Jaunty pretty well. We're lucky. I mean, he got big yards, but I think he's getting big yards against just about anyone he's going to play. We're still getting him fresh, too, week 2. Right now, he's statistically the best running back. Looks like an NFL running back. In those little moments when they really needed him, they would call him. I think a lot of Boise State fans would agree that the whole offense should have been just him in the fourth quarter. Like, I mean, I'm sure, though we were doing pretty well if it was an obvious run situation, pretty well of stopping them. They went 9 of 19 on third down. And I love our secondary, which has been a weakness in the past. And for many great Duck teams, it was a weakness. So it's nice to see, you know, Jabbar Muhammad do it. Oh, man. Honestly, yeah, maybe just shout out a few. There was a lot to like on defense, including another like kind of underdog that, you know, there's a lot of elite talent on here, but Bryce Betcher, 9 tackles, 3 solo, had that amazing tackle where he snuffed out that quick little, you know, pass to the sideline, like boom. That was a huge play. Brandon Johnson is amazing. He is next level, and I love to watch him hit and swap balls, and he's going to get a pick 6 soon. Almost like Birch almost got that. That would have been an amazing moment. Like, it's possible. Really nice to see Bassa there because he was injured. They said they could have put him in throughout all of the first game, but I'm glad they didn't, honestly. I'm down with losing close winning close as long as we win. Jamari Caldwell, you really saw what a lot of people have been talking about with his like insane combination of size and speed, and he is gonna eat some lunch this season. Like, honestly, there's a lot of people who played damn well. Game ball, though, we all know who game ball goes to. Jaden Lamar for picking up the damn ball in the end zone. If it wasn't for that, Whittington's amazing play, the return, would have been ruled a fumble, and then who knows who could have picked that up. Maybe ran it back for 100 yards. So thank God for Jaden Lamar. You get game ball. I'm just happy we won. Yeah, it was ugly. Yeah, this could be disastrous for our team. We're not out of the woods yet. We could easily lose to Oregon State. We could lose to UCLA if our worst version of our offensive line and offense in general shows up. But I believe that we will quack. See y'all next week. Go Ducks. Go Ducks.